Okay, with us now from Illinois, Democratic Congressman Jonathan Jackson. Congressman, look, I 100% understand how important health insurance is as an issue for voters and for Americans. I understand that the reason that Democrats outscore Republicans on the issue consistently is because of things like what Senate Democrats are doing right now. But as a tactic, I gotta say, government shutdowns have a pretty inglorious history. At least that's what these folks said once upon a time.
People in there discussed at what happened in terms of the shutdown of government. It's an unthinkable tactic to use.
This is playing with fire, and we are happy to negotiate. But we want to negotiate without a gun to our head.
In other words, they demanded ransom just for doing their job.
Okay, so what the heck in the heck? What's different this time?
Well, this one big ugly bill that was passed was done without any floor debate, and not one Democratic amendment was accepted. And so this is a natural check and balance. So it's gone through the lower part of the House, and now it's in the Senate, and this is where there's negotiation. Typically in this process of negotiations, the president would sit down with the leaders of both parties, of the upper and the lower house, and he's refused to do so. And these, I would say, inaccuracies or untruths, and more candidly, just simply outright lies by telling people that the Democrats are trying to get persons that are here undocumented benefits of the Medicaid system is simply a falsehood. It's not true. If you look at the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Act of 1996, people that are here unlawfully cannot receive Medicaid.
Okay, if the Senate can broker a deal to get to 60 votes, that's likely, it seems like, that it will include at least a temporary extension of those COVID-era subsidies for Obamacare. But probably not what was in Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries' ask, what Democrats really want here. So any Senate compromise is going to lose a bunch of Republican votes in the House. They don't like it. We were just talking to your colleague from Ohio about that. That means it will be on you and your caucus to get it done. How confident are you that that smaller version, if it comes back to the House, could get through with Democratic support?
Well, I think the president should also tell people what the world looks like after this bill goes into effect, into law, that how many hospitals will be closed, how many people will be kicked off of their affordability of these health care plans. 16 million people. We've all lived through a COVID era now, and we've seen hospitals full and overrun. We're a nation of almost 340 million people with less than 1 million hospital beds. We've seen measles outbreaks. Who knows what's going on with the Secretary of Health now under Mr. Kennedy. But there are fewer scientists that are at the helm under his leadership, and this is disaster. So you're looking at 16 million people out of the 80 million people that qualify for the Medicaid having to come off of the assistance. Now you're going to look at closures in hospitals right here in the state of Illinois. In my first district, it's 24,000 people that are coming off. Is this the America that we want, to make people more insecure, to see more illnesses that aren't treated? We have the money. It's a matter of priorities. He's done the tax breaks, that's the offset, and this is what's triggered this. He has put, at the same time, more tax breaks for the wealthiest 1% and has taken money away from the poorest people. Why is there a war going on against the poorest people in our country is the problem for the administration. And this is a Republican shutdown. The president refused to talk with the Democrats.
Congressman, speaking of Chicago, President Trump is sending at least 300 National Guard troops into your hometown. Your governor, J.B. Pritzker, calls it a constitutional crisis. The White House says these Guard members are just protecting immigration officers carrying out their duties. I bet there are probably a lot of Chicago Democrats, people in your district, and they're in the first, that might agree with Governor Pritzker and you on the constitutional merits here, but they're probably relieved to see the migrant crackdown in a city that struggled so much to deal with mass migration in recent years. What do you tell them, those folks who feel conflicted here?
Well, there's no conflict here. People are very upset and disgusted. This happened less than a mile and a half from my house in South Shore, and to see helicopters overhead with ropes hanging out, with people coming down, kicking in doors, zip tying children. Some people came out of the apartment building naked, throwing in the tear gas breaking down doors. This was a neighborhood that's 98% African American. To say that this is where illegal and gang infestation was taking place simply was not true. Also, American citizens got rounded up in that. American citizens had long barrel guns put in their face. Is that the country that we want? So no, he should talk with the governor. It's a matter of U.S. law. It's the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 that the president ought to abide by. You cannot use our military on our soil. This is breaking the law. And Republicans ought to speak up to this because we all look like immigrants. Who looks like an immigrant? And why is this very curiously, only targeting the black and brown communities?
Okay, Congressman, before I let you go, you're on the Agriculture Committee. President Trump says he wants to make row crops great again by sending a $10 billion subsidy to soybean farmers and others who are getting crushed in this ongoing trade war. Do you support relief for farmers? And what do you say about the suggestion the president doesn't need to come to Congress for the money and he can just redirect the tariff revenues?
He is breaking the law once again, and it's a disaster. This is only the first check that he would have to give to the farmers, and this is a self-inflicted wound. He sent $20 billion last week when he secured the Argentinian crops. At the same time in Argentina, they reduced their tariffs. They sent their soybeans to China. Our soybeans are now being harvested. They're going to rot. They're going to have to be fed to the hogs and other things here. He's reduced our market share. And he's put more tariffs on us. Now we're looking at $650, $620 to go a metric ton to send our agricultural soybean products into China. And the Brazilians are doing it at $550, which is a longer trade route.
I should have known not to ask.
Inept on the economy.
I
really
should
wish
have
you
known
would
not
give me
to
some
ask.
time.
I know. I should never ask an Illinoisan about soybeans. It gets out of hand quickly. Congressman, we thank
And
you.
he's been a disaster.
I just stipulate for the record. Okay, if you knew that Bourbonnais was in Kankakee County, you would know him already. But if you don't, there he is, Congressman Jonathan Jackson. We thank you. Appreciate you very much.